Hi, welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I am going to show you some examples of Bootstrap grid system. Let us get started. Okay, now we have added Bootstrap framework to our solo website and we can start utilizing it. In this lecture, I am going to show you how you can create column layouts using Bootstrap grid system. I am going to delete these P elements so we can focus only on Bootstrap grid system. I am going to add H3 element and the text for this H3 element is Bootstrap grid system. It is just for demonstration purposes. Okay, now I am going to show you how you can create a single or one column using Bootstrap grid system. I am going to add label for one column and for that I am going to use H3 element and the text for this H3 element is one column. As I said in my previous lecture, Bootstrap grid system is made up of three things: container, row and columns. I will also open the Bootstrap documentation for grid system. You can find the grid system on CSS page of Bootstrap website. And you can find the grid system link available on the right side of this page. This is the documentation for Bootstrap grid system. As per Bootstrap grid documentation, we first need to create a div with container class. Let us first create a div with class container. I am going to add div element. The div tag defines a division or a section in an HTML document. Next, I am going to add class attribute and the value for this class attribute is container. The class attribute specifies one or more class names for an element. The class attribute is mostly used to point to a class in a style sheet. So we just created a div with container class, and you should remember container is Bootstrap predefined class. Let me show you this container class inside bootstrap.css file. I'm going to open CSS folder, and inside this CSS folder we have Bootstrap folder, and inside this we have bootstrap.css file. I'm going to open bootstrap.css file. This is the Bootstrap CSS file, and inside this file I'm going to search for container class. This is the CSS applied for container class. This is the basic CSS for container class, and these are the media queries for container class. You don't need to worry about CSS media queries because I'm going to teach you CSS media queries later in this course when we will start working on responsive layout. So you can see that this is the width of container class at minimum 768 pixel screen size, and this is the width of container class at minimum width of 992 pixels, and this is the container class width at minimum 1200 pixels. So these are the different widths of container class at different screen sizes. Okay, I will go back to the index.html file. So this is the container class, and you should remember that the container is Bootstrap predefined class and it is used to provide a proper width for the layout, and it will act as a wrapper for the content. So we just created a div with container class. Second, we need to place row inside this container div. As per Bootstrap documentation, rows must be within a container. So we have already created the container, and now I'm going to add row inside the container. I'm going to create a row inside this container div. I'm going to add a div, and next I'm going to add a class attribute, and the value for this class attribute is row. So I just created a div with class row. Row is also a Bootstrap predefined class. Let us have a look at row class inside bootstrap.css file. And this is the row class inside bootstrap.css file. And this is the CSS applied for this row class. We will always place rows inside container class. Using rows, we can create horizontal columns. We can create as many rows we want, and each row will accommodate 12 columns. In this example, we need only one row, so I will use only one row. And the third, we need to create a div with Bootstrap column class. I'm going to add a div, And let us have a look at Bootstrap documentation. As per documentation, we need to place our content within columns. The content can be text, images, heading, and etc. As I said in my previous lecture, Bootstrap has predefined column grid classes. We have grid classes for large devices, for medium devices, for small devices, and for extra small devices. The option we will use in this course would be medium devices. I mean the medium devices grid class, which is MD. Okay. So now let me show you how we can write Bootstrap column class. I'm going to add the class attribute, and the value for this class attribute is Bootstrap column class. So to write a Bootstrap column class, you write call and then you write hyphen and then you write grid class name. If you have chosen to go with medium device classes, then you need to write MD. So I'm going to write MD, and after that the number of columns. In this case we want single column, so the number would be 12 and the content goes inside this column. This is Bootstrap predefined column class. Let me show you this class inside bootstrap.css file. I'm going to the bootstrap.css file and I'm going to search for call-md-12. This is the Bootstrap predefined column class which we just used, and these are the Bootstrap predefined column classes, and these are the CSS for these classes. You don't need to worry for these CSS, and we just need to use these Bootstrap column classes and we will be up for our grid layout. Here I just want to give you an idea how these classes are written inside bootstrap.css file. So please go ahead and have a look at these classes. Okay, I'll get back to index.html file. So we have a container div, and inside container we have a row, and inside a row we have a single column, and the content goes inside columns. I'll go ahead, I'll save my index.html file and I'm going to show you the result inside the web browser. I'm going to open this index.html file inside the web browser, and for that I'm going to click on this open in browser icon. I'll separate it from Bootstrap documentation. Okay, this is the result of single column. As you can see, we have just a single column. I am going to inspect this single column, and as you can see that inside the web developer tools we have container div, and inside the container div we have row div, and inside the row div we have column div. Let me add some style to this column so we can see it clearly. I'm going to open the style.css file. Inside style.css, I'm going to create some custom CSS classes so we can assign background colors to our columns. I'll first write some comment, and the comment is Bootstrap grid examples. Okay, to create class in CSS, you use period sign and then the name of the class. And the name of the class is call-bg-red, and I'm going to set the CSS background color property, and the background color property should be red. I'm going to duplicate this class, and the second class should represent the pink background color, and I'm going to duplicate this class 2 more times. The third class should represent blue background, and the fourth class should represent yellow background. These classes are just for demonstration purposes. I'll delete them by the end of this lecture. Okay, let me add this red background class to this column, this one. As you know, we can add multiple classes to an element, and I'm going to add call-bg-red. I'll go ahead, I'll save these changes, and I'm going to refresh my page. And now you can see that we have a single column and the background color is set to red. So we have a container div, and inside this container div we have a row, and inside this row we have a column. We have single column, right? And by this way we create single column using Bootstrap grid system. Next, I'm going to show you how you can create two equal columns using Bootstrap grid system. I'm going to copy this code and I'll duplicate it for two columns. So this time we are going to create two equal columns, and we have a container div, and inside this container div we have a row, and we are going to divide this row into two equal columns, and for that the number of columns should be 6. So this is going to represent the first 6 columns, and I'm going to duplicate this column, and this is going to represent the second column, and the background color for this second column should be pink. So this is how we create two equal columns by using Bootstrap grid system. I'll go ahead, I'll save these changes, and I'm going to refresh my page, and you will see two equal columns. So this is the example of two equal columns. This is the first column and this is the second column. And let me show you inside the Chrome Developer Tools. So we have a container div, and inside the container div we have a row, and we have divided this row into two equal columns. 6 plus 6 equal to 12 bootstrap columns. So by this way we create two equal columns. Next, let me show you how you can create three equal columns. I am going to copy this code and I'll duplicate it for three equal columns. For three equal columns, we need a container div, and inside the container div we need a row, and we are going to divide this row into three equal columns. And for three equal columns, the number of columns should be 4. So this is the first column, this is the second column, and I need to add one more column, and this is the third column. So 4 plus 4, 8 plus 4 equal to 12 bootstrap columns, and the background color for third column should be, I think, blue. Okay, I'll go ahead, I'll save these changes, and I'm going to refresh my page, and you will see three equal columns. This is the first column, this is second column, and this is third column. And if you look at HTML markup for three columns, we have a container div. Inside this container div we have a row, and we have divided this row into three equal columns. So this is how you can create three equal columns using Bootstrap grid system. Next, let me show you how you can create four equal columns. I am going to copy this code, and this time I am going to discuss four equal columns. For four equal columns we need a container div, and inside the container div we need a row, and we are going to divide this row into four equal columns. And to divide this row into four equal columns, the number of columns should be 3. 3 plus 3 equal to 6. 3 plus 3 6, and plus 3 9, and we need to add one more column. So we have a container div, and inside the container div we have divided this row into four equal columns. This is the first column, this is second column, and this is third column, and this is fourth column, and the background color for the fourth column should be yellow. I'll go ahead, I'll save these changes, and now you will see four equal columns. You can see that we have four equal columns. This is first one, this is second, this is third, and this is fourth. And let me show you inside the Chrome Developer Tools. For 4 columns we have a container div, and inside the container div we have a row, and we have divided this row into 4 equal columns. 3 plus 3 6 plus 3 9 plus 3 equal to 12 bootstrap columns. So by this way you create 4 equal columns using Bootstrap grid system. Our solo website would be totally based on Bootstrap grid system, and we are going to create the layout of solo website using Bootstrap grid system. Let me open the demo version of solo website. This is the demo version of solo website. This layout is totally based on Bootstrap grid system. I'll show you how easy it is to build such layout using Bootstrap grid system. And this layout is totally responsive layout, which means it is going to look great on all screen sizes. If I check it on small screen sizes, I'm going to view this solo website on smaller screen sizes. This is the view of solo website at iPhone 6. And let me view it at iPad. This is the view of solo website at iPad. As you can see how beautifully the layout adjusts as per screen size, and this is all magic of Bootstrap grid system. Okay, I hope now you have got basic idea about Bootstrap grid system. As we move along, you will learn more about Bootstrap grid system. Before I end this lecture, let me clean this index.html file by deleting all these grid classes. I will also delete custom CSS classes because we don't need them. Okay, this was about Bootstrap grid classes. And if you have any question about Bootstrap grid classes, please do let me know. I would be happy to help you out. Thanks, and I'll see you in next class.